coming this August.
Morrison, switch.
Good boy.
What we're trying to do is take shelter dogs and train them on specific tasks
To get them on the path of becoming service dogs.
Can I be your human?
What's amazing is that these dogs have the ability to save their people.
She was a rescue dog, and now she's rescued me.
Rescue Dog to Super Dog. New series premieres Saturday, August 12th at 10 on Animal Planet.
One more time, Laura and Nate, make some noise, everybody. Come on. This show. Congratulations. Let me start with that. Congratulations, because this show, as I told you backstage, I watched, my wife and I watched it last night, and I love that before I could say any further, your question, your response.
Did you cry?
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely, like a baby. We're gonna get into where the tears came from and where this show came from and all that in a second. But as I love to start whenever we have fantastic guests here at the show, is a simple question: how are you guys doing? How's it going? How are you feeling?
We're good. We're on
great.
West Coast timed right now.
I was gonna say you just flew in last night, didn't you?
Yeah.
Correct, yep.
So we've got a lot
Trooper.
done today. But yeah, we're doing good. We're having a good time.
Having a good time in New
It's
York.
been a blast, yeah, definitely.
You guys doing Today Show, I think, coming up, or did you do that?
Tomorrow, we're doing the
Tomorrow.
daytime.
Very exciting.
That's an early day, isn't it? Yeah. No,
No,
yeah.
today was actually a little earlier.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you were on the plane and all that. Right. Well, look, I'm happy you're here. Thank you for making the effort. I'm super excited you made the time to come hang out with us. Let's talk about this show. Where did the idea come from? Where did this show come from? Because it's my understanding, usually when we have experts like yourself in here, this is work similar to work you've been doing for some time, and now it gets to be a show that you share with the world. Is that the case here? You were doing similar stuff? Yes, no?
This is it's different. It's not what we were doing. Neither of us were specifically, we had trained dogs to be service dogs, but it's not what we did primarily. But the idea of taking shelter dogs, taking adult dogs who are homeless and in need and training them for service isn't a new idea, but this gave us a voice and a chance and a platform to kind of show the potential of that instead of the traditional way of doing service dog is you're on a waiting list maybe for 2 years. They raise them from puppies. It takes 2 years. It's incredibly expensive. So this is just a way to take this needy population of homeless dogs and pair them with the population of people who need them.
Well, it was funny, we were talking backstage that you guys have the perfect lead, and of course it premieres August 12th, 10 p.m. Right before you guys, my other favorite show now, Pit Bulls and Parolees, which anybody watching this show, you know, yeah, right? So right in my wheelhouse. Perfect lead, and it was funny to find out that you knew Tia, or you'd worked with her prior?
Yeah, in Los Angeles. I work with a pit bull rescue in LA called Angel City Pit Bulls, and so, you know, she was a fixture in Los Angeles before the show and before she left to New Orleans.
So how about you two together? Did you cross paths prior to the show, or no? The show brought you together to work as
Yes, the show did bring us together. In fact, they reached out to us, and they're telling us about this great idea for a show that was actually produced in the UK. So it was really successful out there. And after speaking with them, they told me, they said, there's this other really phenomenal trainer. She's in your area. Her name's Laura London. Do you know her? And so, of course, I started doing my Google search, and then we connected, and we're like, oh, we need to link up, we need to talk, we need to work together. And
I called him and said, let's have a beer.
Right.
Perfect. Yeah, no, you guys have a great chemistry on the show, and you work great together, so I was wondering if that was a long-term relationship that you guys had as friends, or if it just kind of came about. But it's really great to watch. It reads well.
Side note, the UK version, the man and the woman who are the trainers fell in love, had a baby, and are getting married.
No way.
Yeah, and I was like, that's not happening. But you're hot.
They are really committed to the promo of that show over there, aren't they? They are
100%, yep.
Nate, first of all, thank you for your service, man. Former Marine, I understand. Did you have an opportunity during your service to work with animals and with dogs in the Marines as well, or is that something you came about after the fact?
That came about after. I mean, I've always been passionate about dogs my entire life growing up. If I went to go visit family, all my family members had dogs, and I had to, I dragged my parents to the pet store so we can grab a bag of treats so I can give every dog a treat. When I was in the Marine Corps, though, however, I was infantry. I was out in Iraq during the invasion back in '03, came back, then I was a combat swim instructor, martial art instructor, and I finished off as a drill instructor. So, Semper Fi to all you Marines out there. And that really gave me the discipline to pursue other things. And, you know, changing a career can be very terrifying for some people. Yeah. You know, so being able to step ahead and do that, because I've always been passionate about dogs, and when I made the decision, you know, this is what I want to do full time, it's been the best choice of my life, and I haven't looked back.
Yeah, for sure. In that much talked about first episode, we meet two individuals, Kalani, I believe, and Kelly, right? And you go through the whole process, and these two people, not only the dogs' lives, but their lives are transformed. It's very moving. As you said, did you cry? And it's a beautiful thing to watch. I wonder, do you guys cry when you're there in those moments, when they finally click with their dog, when everything comes together, when the reality of you changing this person's life hits you? Does it hit you hard?
Believe it or not, she's way tougher than I am. I think I cried a few times. I'm like, oh, nope, not crying, not happening. You know, it's hard not to. It's really moving. I mean, seeing what these people go through, the journey that they take, and then the effect that these dogs have in their lives. I mean, there's really, and like you're saying, when you watch the first episode, you could really see the transformation in each person and what these dogs do. And I'm so passionate about dogs. When I see dogs doing amazing things out there, I'm like, it's right here for me. I mean, it really is. And there was times where they were, you know, interviewing us while we were filming the show, and I had to stop because I was getting choked up because I was just thinking about what these dogs do for people. I'll get emotional now talking about it.
I'm a little choked up, honestly. But yeah, you were giving him the eyes, like, not you don't.
No, I am like a little bit tougher than he is. I don't know why. No, but I think in the moment, I'm like on a mission, like, so I'm kind of like single focus. And so when we're training, I know it has to be done, and we're working on when I'm looking, and my eyes are totally in my mind, and my heart is looking at a whole other thing. And it wasn't until like I see it all put together to music.
Yeah, the music goes a long way, doesn't it?
Oh my God, I was just like, I can't believe I was a part of this, you know. So I think that's when it got. I mean, you see the lives transform, and at the end, but like we're still kind of in the trenches, like filming, and we're still trying to, and we're still working with all these people, and we're still working with all these dogs. So it's a process. We're not finished by any means, but yeah, seeing the show was touching.
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine the process is a long and time-consuming one. Requires a lot of patience. Training, period, requires patience. But this specific type of training, you know, training to be a service animal, I imagine even more patience, even more time, even more consistency. Talk about finding the right match, finding the right dog for the right person, and what you guys are looking for and how that works.
Well, the way it first starts is we would go out, we would meet the people with the disabilities, and this is regardless whether or not it's for the show or in real life without cameras. We meet them, we talk about their disability, their needs, and what type of dog is going to benefit them the most. Once we glean all that information from them, then we go out and we basically go searching for that dog specifically for that individual. So there are certain things that we want right away. There's certain boxes that have to be checked if we're going to be selecting a dog for service work, such as the dog has to be friendly, of course, right? The dog, we really want a dog that's food motivated. We want a dog that's toy motivated. These things are going to help us when it comes to teaching the dog to retrieve, to teaching them the behaviors we want them to perform, because reward-based training is limited by the dog's motivation and desire to work for those rewards. So we want a dog that's really driven by the rewards, and we want a dog that's going to be sound in multiple environments and also not reactive to dogs or people. So these are simple things we have to look for right away, and then we want to look for the tasks that are going to be beneficial to the individual with the disability.
For sure.
And I think with each person too, it wasn't limited to breed, although there were people who were like, well, I grew up with a golden retriever and I'd really like a golden retriever, you know, and we may have met a golden retriever, but he was terrified of people or hated other dogs or pulled like crazy. And although those things don't disqualify him from being a wonderful pet and getting adopted, it's not going to be good for service work. So, you know, it was tough. I think the hardest thing about this was looking at 300 dogs a day and not being able. We would look at there's a South LA shelter. It's got 300 dogs in it. And you walk through there and like nobody checked a box.
Yeah.
But you saw like 300 sad faces and needed to be adopted.
That's gotta
I know,
be hard
right?
not to cry when you face that.
Those were like the hard days,
part.
yeah.
That's definitely a challenge. And then, people tell us, that, I really want to foster a dog, but I'm afraid if I foster a dog, I'm going to end up owning all these dogs.
Yeah, that's one of my big fears.
And it is a challenge.
It'll
You do fall
happen.
in love with the dogs. And then, just like Laura was saying, when we're walking around, we're looking at so many dogs, so many different shelters. And it's heartbreaking not to be able to say, hey, well, I'm taking you home. I'm taking you. I'm taking you. I'm taking you. I got a swimming pool for you. I got, you want to take every single dog, but you can't. So what's really great, though, about this show and what I'm really excited for is the fact that it is showing people the capabilities of these dogs and that they have so much potential, and we just have to be able to communicate with them.
And that's one of the things that I love, too, is it goes a very long way to dispel all of those sort of myths about certain breeds and certain things of that nature. It shows all these dogs are individuals with personalities. And
Dogality.
Dogality. They're right, of course. It seems so clear to me now. How did I miss that? But they're all individuals. There's something special about each and every one of them and finding that match. But I wonder, was there a particular thing that you were better at spotting maybe than you were better at spotting, or vice versa? How did your skills mesh in those moments, right? Like how? Because they're all different. Maybe you see a dog one way and you see a completely different way.
Yeah, I definitely think that happens. Nate loves a challenge, so, and that's awesome. But like, he'll take a dog that maybe has like too much drive for me,
right,
and be like, I love this dog. I want this dog. We have to take this dog out. And I'm like,
dog now.
You're nuts. We're not taking this dog out. And he's like, no,
it's perfect. I
think this dog
fix
is perfect. And sometimes once you get the dog out in the yard, it's a totally different dog. And then so sometimes I'd be right. Sometimes he'd be right. And and that's the good thing about having the two of us and having two sets of eyes on this and, being able to kind of talk through that and not be working from our own biases. We're like, but I love bulldogs, and like every dog on the show would be snoring if it were like my show. They'd be like, so.
Still a show I would watch.
Yeah,
Not
okay.
for nothing. Yeah.
No.
It's a really good balance for sure, though, because there's times where, we may be focused on something and the other one's able to see something that we were not able to see, which quite often happens on my side where I don't see something and then Laura's like, hey, maybe we should do it this way. And then I look at the situation, I'm like, yeah, you're right. Gosh darn it. I have to admit that she's correct, right?
That's a good team. That's a good team dynamic.
Exactly. Right.
Was there ever, obviously there's a limit to what the dogs can and can't do and so on and so forth, but have you ever been surprised in what you were able to sort of get out of a particular dog and like, wow, I can't believe this dog is doing this thing? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would say the Havanese. I'm not going to tell you too much about it because you have to watch it. So that's really important. But
how
I think
deep in the series?
He was a dark horse, wasn't he? A little bit.
He really was.
I loved him from the get-go, but the numbers were against him. But
he's super adorable, cute little Havanese that really outshined. I mean, his performance was phenomenal, and it was really exciting to see it.
Havanese, they're hypoallergenic, aren't they? Or is that right?
We're not going to get into that here.
We're not going to? Oh, have I touched a nerve? I knew. Fair enough. Regardless.
There's so many opinions.
Okay, fair enough. Not too bad. Well, one of the things that's so great about this is all the conversations that it starts and all the ideas of rescuing dogs and sort of dispelling all of those myths. And we have something very exciting today. We have some dogs with us today that are, I believe, available for adoption. Before we bring them out, can you tell us a little bit about the dogs and who we have with us and why they're with us today and what's going on?
Absolutely. We have siblings. We have Martin and Maya. They came from Puerto Rico. They're with a group called the Sato Project, and they go to Puerto Rico and they rescue dogs off a terrible area that's called Dead Dog Beach. Oh, and I know, I hated saying it, sorry. But it's the truth. And their municipal shelters are overpopulated, they're underserved. It's a really dangerous place to be if you're a dog. So they brought this litter home to the U.S. There were 4 pups. There's 2 left, Martin and Maya. They're like Basset Houndy, Mixie, Cutie, Lowe's, Slow Riders. They're so cute.
Well, after that build-up, I would be not doing my job if I didn't call for the dogs. Martin and Maya, come on out. Let's take a look.
Oh, they're here.
I thought they were going to enter from over there. Just as great. Everybody, this is Martin and Maya. Which one's Martin?
This is Maya.
That's Martin. Okay, and do you want to just...
Take Martin. I'll take Maya.
I'll take Martin.
You
Okay.
take Martin.
Perfect.
and you're gonna take Maya, and I'm gonna sit here, incredibly jealous and lonely, while Martin and Maya hang out with you guys.
Oh, hi.
So, what was the name of the project again, where people can find out?
The Sato Project,
SATO.
So you can find them at thesatoproject.org.
And Martin and Maya are currently available for adoption, and I can't imagine they're gonna last long, people. I don't know if you look here. So they're gonna find some homes pretty fast. Look at how gentle.
Got like smoky eyeliner on
Yeah, I
here.
know. She's got a good look.
Like it's
Approximately how old? You said?
5 months.
5 months. My gosh, look at them. All right, what I'd love to do at this point, we should have some microphones throughout the room. We're going to take some audience questions while Martin and Maya are hanging out here. And please be clear if your question is for Martin or Maya, okay? So we'll start right in the front. Yes, right.
Hi, I was just curious if you guys have, like, when you're looking for dogs, do you guys have, like, an age limit to what you want?
Yeah, excellent question, right? Because we're working, in this case, you know, I say adopt seniors and do everything you can to help seniors, and puppies are going to be a handful. But for what we were looking for, we were looking at an age starting at like 2-ish, going up to maybe 4, depending on the breed.
Yeah.
You know, you'll see in the first episode, we have a Great Dane, notorious for having a shorter lifespan. So you don't want to get somebody involved in working with a service dog and be like, sorry, they've passed away. Like, not cool. So yeah, age was definitely a factor.
And is it primarily because of the reason you stated that you want to make sure this dog's going to be around for the maximum amount of time? What about the idea of old dog, new tricks kind of thing? Like, is it tougher? Do you find older habits are harder to break? Now, you're saying no, but you're smiling.
I was going to say, yeah, that's pretty much a myth. I mean, there are habits that you do have to break, but older dogs can definitely be taught new tricks. You know, it's all about, when it comes to working with a dog, it's really about communicating with them effectively and being consistent. And if you're able to do that, it's amazing at how fast you can train a dog and get them to really understand what it is that you want by giving them that clear path to success. And that's just the main focus right there. But I mean, I've worked with dogs that were 12 years of age and never did a single day of obedience. And, you know, a month down the road, they're superstars.
We're gonna go back to audience questions in a second, but I have to go down this path for a moment because my dog is Boxer. He's about 7 years old, right?
Oh, I already have the answer.
Okay, fair enough. And he was pretty good in the beginning. Sits, high five, the whole 9. And he rolled maybe twice in his life, and then he decided, I don't want to roll anymore. And we found that he responded not so much to food, but to play. He's very picky about treats. Loves food, don't get him wrong. But loves play more. How do you reward a dog? Because I heard you say in the episode that we need a dog that responds well to food. How do you reward a dog that responds well to play? How do you train under those conditions? And then I want to hear your response to my Boxer thing. Go on.
I think play is a great way to reward a dog. I mean, there's 3 main ways to reward a dog: food, toy, and affection. Yeah. So as long as they're motivated by one of those, then you're able to work with the dog and train them. Now, food is really helpful, especially in the beginning when you're trying to shape behaviors. You're trying to teach the sit and the down. The toy comes into play, and it's really effective after the dog knows the obedience. So then you can have them do the behaviors that you want them to perform, and then the second they do it, boom, out comes a toy, right? Yeah. So they're working to access the toy. But, I mean, everything that a dog does is based on motivation. Yeah. You know, they're working to access something that they enjoy. You know, I mean, even, for example, police dogs, when they're searching vehicles, if you look at the handler, he's holding a toy behind his back. So if the dog does indicate and finds something, boom, out comes a toy. So the dog gets that reward. So you're able to use it, but it does help to have the dog understand some of the basics before implementing the toys. Because again, they can get sometimes too excited for the toy, and then that can override their ability to focus on what it is you're trying to teach them because they're so excited for that toy.
Oh, he gets excited, man. Yeah, even at 6, 7 years old, he's still got puppy energy. I love him. You were going to say something when I mentioned that he was a boxer.
I love boxers.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the fact that he's a boxer. But, like, say tomorrow somebody had to adopt your 7-year-old boxer. Yeah. They could take that dog and they could train it a bunch of stuff, and it'd be great because it's like a new, fresh set of eyes. We get really lazy with our own dogs. I've done it. Nate hasn't. I've done it. You know, I've got 3 dogs. I have 2 Boston Terriers and a French Bulldog. Everybody's over 10. Yeah, we haven't really worked out in a long time.
Just kind of hang out together.
You know? So I think owners get lazy, and if it's not really an important trick and you're not doing it to show off to your friends and it's not part of your everyday, you get lazy with it and you stop doing it. If your dog runs out the door and you're afraid it's going to get hit by a car, that would be something really important for you to always work on, and you never, ever get lazy on that. But I think you just kind of have to, like, refresh yourself and say, like, okay, like, everybody we've met that we've, like, worked with or has interviewed us is like, okay, I'm going to train my dog how to sit or lay down. You know, I've already done Skype sessions from LA to New York to help people get, oh, sure, dog doesn't lay down. One Skype session, dog's laying down. It's just about, like, getting a fresh set of eyes on it.
Yeah, we were trying to get him to use, like, ring bells by the door instead of barking when he had to go out, because barking could mean anything. We're always, like, outside. Dudes are outside, and he'll look at us and be like, "Rrr." Like, he's a dog. He does, yeah, he's like, I don't know, maybe. Could be food.
It's actually pretty easy to teach a dog to ring a bell, but there is one problem with that. So anybody who's thinking about teaching their dog how to ring a bell, the dog will ring the bell simply to go outside. So it's not like the dog's gonna go, oh, I have to go to the bathroom, I'm gonna ring the bell. The dog's gonna say,
Just might want to be outside.
Right, mailman's outside.
Yeah, it's
bing,
like
you know.
it's like butler service. They're just like, service, please. Yes, I would like to go outside now. Thank you.
Honestly, I don't even know if I'd mind that. That might be kind of fun.
So, and here's an easy way to
Let's
teach
do
it.
it.
If you're trying to teach it, I always like the little bell that you place on the ground.
Okay.
I think that's adorable. Like the, yeah, I think
Literally,
it's
a little
super
butler
cute.
bell.
Teacher bell.
Anytime you're trying to teach your dog a behavior, all you have to be able to do is show the dog a physical cue that can get the dog to do the behavior, right? So a lot of people are able to get their dog to sit because they're standing above them. Wherever the nose goes, the butt does the opposite. So the dog looks up at you, your dog sits, and you're like, oh, I taught my dog to sit. Well, the dog was looking up at you, and it's more comfortable for the dog to put their rear end down than it is to continue to look. But you can use that to teach the behavior, right? So with a bell, whether it's a bell hanging on a door or it's the bell on the ground, so the one that I put on the ground, what I do is I take a piece of food, and then I put it underneath the bell. And then the dog will paw at it until the dog rings it. Once the dog rings it, I say yes, and then I give the dog the reward, which yes is a marker or continue, or it's a marker. Yeah, there's other terminology for it, a bridge, different things like that. It's the same as like the concept of a clicker, but it lets a dog know that they did the behavior correctly and now they're going to get the reward. So once a dog knows that, then you simply put the bell down, the dog rings it, you say yes, and then you open the door. And before you know it, you have the dog ringing the bell to go outside, and a week later, you're gonna hate that you taught your dog that.
Fair enough, fair enough. As promised, more audience questions. I believe our next one is right here.
Hi guys. So we were just talking about like rewards and motivation for the dog. So I was just wondering like what continues to motivate you guys, and why do you find this process so rewarding working with like such special animals all the time?
Really good question.
Yeah.
I was always a dog lover, but I obviously wasn't always a dog trainer. I've been doing it for a little over 11 years. But I had a regular job before, you know, which you punched in for every day. And right, oh, gosh. So when you ask me like what motivates me, like I haven't worked a day since I became a dog trainer professionally. Like it's so amazing. And my goal and my mission changes all the time depending on the people I'm working with. And sometimes I'm really devoted to a certain rescue, or I started a training program at the LA County shelter in Downey where we trained the dogs who were there just so they had a better chance of getting adoptable. And it, like, my mission always changes and it always evolves, which is really cool, dog training. And my goal really is just to advocate for dogs and to educate owners and families and kids especially, because they're gonna be the next generation of dog owners, to like commit to the dog that they get, however they get it, and learn how to train it and give it the best life it can possibly have until old age takes it. Like, I just don't want people giving up on their dogs, and I don't want people giving up dogs.
And it's definitely incredibly rewarding. I mean, when you find something that you love, I mean, how's the saying go? Find a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Yeah. Being rewarded, I mean, having that sense of purpose, even, of course, service dogs, there's a lot when you train a service dog and it's incredibly rewarding, but even working with people that just have pets that are running into behavioral problems and they come to you and they say, you are my last option. You know, if you can't fix this dog, then we can't keep the dog anymore. And you work with them and the dog becomes this amazing super dog. And they thank you for it because now they get to keep their pet that they were so terrified that they were gonna have to give up. And that's really rewarding. I mean, I've had letters, people send in the mail thanking me for working with them and teaching them and saving the dog that they were gonna have to be able to, find a new home for or something because they couldn't manage it due to their living situation. So incredibly rewarding. And it's a lot of fun. You work with puppies. Yeah. You hang out with people. If you like to talk like I do, you get to talk a lot.
Yeah, we're at work right now. What'd you do at work today?
Had a dog. We have time for one more question. We're going to get to it, but I wouldn't feel good about it if I didn't just talk a little bit more about Martin and Maya. And so their temperament right now, they are ridiculously chill. Is this because of their age? Are they still getting acclimated to the lights and the world around them? Or are they just chill dogs? How early can you start to tell a personality on a dog?
It could be multiple things.
Yeah.
You know, you could have a dog like this. You could take a puppy, bring it into your house, or a dog from a shelter, and the dog is completely quiet, relaxing, and like, play, do something. And 2 weeks later, the dog is acting like a completely different dog because now they're comfortable. It's like going to your in-laws. First time you're there, you're all proper, you know. 2 weeks later, your feet, you know, you got your feet up on the furniture, you're drinking a beer. So once they... Once they get a little bit more comfortable...
He's not married, by the way.
You say 2 weeks is a short
That's not what you do at your in-laws, but...
It's a good assumption.
It's okay. Try it. Go for it.
But, you know, so they become more relaxed, and usually 2 weeks is a good, you know, amount of time to wait, and sometimes you'll even see more after a few weeks. So it's hard to tell, but they are incredibly chill. They seem very compliant, and they would probably make great, you know, companions to hang out and watch, you know, rescue dog to super dog with.
They've played together. They're litter mates, so they'll play together. So they're not always like this, but this is amazing for a 5-month-old puppy. I mean, I train puppies primarily now in LA, and this is certainly like boxers. You'd never get a boxer to do this for any period of time.
Well, they're called boxers for a reason.
I know. So, I mean, these are probably part Basset Hound. They're just kind of lazy. They probably have energy spurts, but this is probably a lot of what they do. And this is the kind of stuff that you look at when you're adopting a dog. Like, what's your lifestyle? Do you want it to hike with you? This might not be the dog. It might be the dog. It's hard to say. The legs are short. I don't know. Right. But, you know, you have to look at the things you want. And this dog, to me, just says Netflix.
And for those curious, it's the Sato, S-A-T-O project. Is that .org, .com?
Yes, .org.
.org, satoproject.org. And they are both available, much to the dismay of my wife, who did text me during it and said, bring home Maya. Sorry, I'm not going to do that.
Why not?
For a myriad of reasons. She would not hang out with Dooz well. Doozer's my boxer. It's high energy.
Doozer
We can work
would
with
love
you.
It.
Doozer, let
would
me tell you a story
help.
about him. He's got a best bud dog named Jameson, who's like a Chow mix, Chow Lab mix, right? And he'll hang out with Jameson. They'll play like crazy for like 2 minutes. Then Jameson's totally done. He'll chill out, and Doozer will stand there and just bark at him for like an hour. Like, come on, let's go, let's go. He won't get up. And then when Doozer leaves, Jameson will cry. It's a very sweet relationship. They do love each other.
Sounds a little needy.
It's a little needy. Oh, he's very needy. Is that a reflection on me? Is that what you're trying to imply?
I'm just saying.
Is that my dog?
A lot of dogs mirror their owners.
Oh, we're going to play that game. Fair enough.
Totally
Oh, what do
kidding.
you know? We're totally out of time. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. We're gonna head on it. No, we've got for one.
No,
more.
but boxers are great, and they do have a high energy for a really long time. Yeah. But you know, she's still,
I love boxers
she's
for
so
one.
cute.
The high energy, I mean, that's for me. If I can continue to work with a dog for a longer duration, that's great for me. You know, I love it.
Adopt me.
Guys, we do have time for one more question. We're gonna go to that last question, which is right over yonder.
So I grew up with dogs, and I really miss having a dog. I think it's time for me to get one. But what I'm really nervous about is training the dog, because I haven't done that as an... but what are some resources? Yes, that's so cute. What are some resources for somebody who's not a first-time dog owner, but like a first-time dog owner as an adult?
That's a really good question. So I have some training videos on my website, but when it comes to working with a dog, so there's a science behind dog training, and there's definitely an art. Right? So if you understand the science, though, you can apply your own art style. So, for example, what I always teach people right from the very beginning, teach your condition reinforcers, which is basically a sound that predicts a reward, because it's been scientifically proven that we have approximately 1 second to influence a dog's behavior. So 1 second to reward them for something you want repeated, 1 second to correct them for something you don't want repeated. Whether, you know, if the dog's going potty inside the house, you want to take them outside, that'd be a form of a correction, and then rewarding it when it's going potty outside, right? So you have that 1 second time frame. Am I talking too fast? Too much coffee. Okay, so you take a sound. You take a sound, first thing I do, it doesn't matter if I'm working with a service dog or just a pet dog, and I let that dog know that that sound means they're gonna get a reward. Consider it the same as like money. Money is a condition reinforcer for people. It predicts a primary. Once you have that, then you just start showing your dog what you want them to perform, right? Dogs can't multitask. So if we give them a responsibility, they're not able to do all those bad behaviors we don't want them to do. So if we teach them, hey, at this time you go to your bed, right? If I'm cooking, you sit over here. If I'm sitting down, you lay down nicely on our lap, right? Whatever it is, we show them what we want them to do, and then we reward them for that. And then you continue that till it becomes habit. Dogs are creatures of habit. I know I'm making this a little bit simple sounding, but they are creatures of habit. And if you're very consistent with your training, that's the biggest thing. Be consistent. So those who are really consistent, even if your timing is not that great and the delivery of the motivation's not that good, or the dog doesn't like the treats that much, if you're consistent, your dog will learn. But again, go to my website. You'll find plenty of training videos and articles that you can research and check out. And there's a lot of good stuff out there.
Shameless plugs. Shameless. I would say, look at the rescues, the shelters around town, see if they offer any free classes. In LA, I offer free classes. I'm not the only one in the world who does that. So there have to be some low-cost training options around. If all you can afford is your local box store dog training, then that's fine. Go get that support, but then take like what Nate's saying, like take what you're learning and kind of make it your own. There's tons of resources. There's tons of books. Some are horrible. Lots of them are terrible.
Do you have recommendations? Do you have
I do. I recommend the Association of Professional Dog Trainers. It's aptitude.com. They have resources. They're positive training only. They have resources not only for trainers nationwide, so you just type in your zip code and it'll tell you who's a certified trainer in your area, but they also have reading lists and like resources that you can use that help you kind of understand. And you can just go to the website and you don't have to join anything or do anything. So you can try that out. Good luck. She's totally available.
Yes.
And she's kind of a magnet for attention. So
they really are perfect right now.
Just saying.
So regrettably, we're out of time. I gotta let you guys go. But last thing, Martin and Maya, the SatoProject.org, SATOproject.org. Everybody out there at home, everybody here in the studio, go check it out. They are available. They are adorable. And then also Saturday, August 12th, I'm obviously the prime demographic for this show, but even if you haven't watched a show like this before, or if you have no idea what you're getting into, I'm going to tell you right now, guys, it is very moving, it is very real, and it is a great, great time on television, and I really enjoyed it thoroughly. I think everybody will.
Thank you.
So that's Saturday, August 12th, 10 p.m., Animal Planet, right after Pitbull and Paroli. So please, everybody join me in thanking them for being here. Nate and Laura, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.